Everything you're about to see is my real money. No watch list, no paper portfolios. This is my actual investment account. Want to go over some of the wins we've seen in there, some of the mistakes that I've made, and everything that it entails. And today, I want to break down exactly how I'm positioned for 2026, what ETFs I'm holding onto, and what I'm buying next, and seeing if it makes sense for your portfolio. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so I just hopped over to M1 Finance, and as you can see in this portfolio specifically, this is the one, and this is my primary one outside of the 401k, outside of the IRA accounts, outside of that HSA account that I have. This is the account that I work out of, and this is where I put a majority of my funds. As you can see in this account right here, we have $263,000. So we're right over a quarter million, which has grown incredible. You can see right there, almost $61,000 in growth and 103% in about 4 years, just north of 4 years. So we have doubled our money, over 100% return within those 4 years. And I want to break down exactly the holdings that we are carrying in here. And you'll see the percentages, you will see the holdings. So in here, we do hold 8 different ETFs. That's right. It isn't a 3 ETF portfolio. It isn't a 4 ETF portfolio. And I want to kind of show you why I broke this out a little bit and why we're seeing this a little bit different. So of course, my primary holding rate here at 30% is the VOO. This is the S&P 500. This is going to be the foundation. This is going to be the baseline when it comes to investing. The VOO or the VTI are going to be really the foundational ETFs that own either the 500 largest companies within the United States, or you're owning the VTI with the total market, including the mid cap and the small cap overall. Now, when we start looking at the second biggest holding, it is the QQQM. Now, of course, most people have heard of the QQQ. The QQQM invests in the exact same thing. The NASDAQ 100 has a much lower management fee, which is the reason why I do go with this alternative versus investing just in that QQQ. Anywhere that I can save some cost, anywhere I can save some percentages, really does make a big difference. Now, you also notice most of the rest of these are roughly 5%. And I did also add something in here, which I want to talk about when it comes to a value ETF, when it comes to something that I recently did change. Now in here, we have 5% that is allocated to Bitcoin. Now, me personally, cryptocurrency, when I start looking at portfolios, when I review individual portfolios, 5% is roughly about what I feel like people should have in cryptocurrency. In Bitcoin, I know if you're younger, if you're speculative, but having some exposure to Bitcoin, Ethereum, possibly Solana, having exposure to at least some cryptocurrency, even if it is in a much smaller capacity, makes sense. And if you believe in the blockchain technology, if you believe in the cryptocurrency, if you believe in kind of that global currency that we see, that is completely decentralized. That is where Bitcoin does come in. Again, 5% of the portfolio. Then we have the Van Eck Semiconductor ETF. Now, this is one that has just absolutely crushed it for many, many years. And again, this is one that I am holding to have, and I believe there's like 16 or 18 companies in it in the entirety. It is completely just based in semiconductors, but also with this one in this ETF, specifically why I hold it is it gives me exposure outside of the US. So where you have the QQQM, NASDAQ 100, you have the VOO, S&P 500, this is going to actually give me exposure outside of those 2 US markets with those ETFs that we specifically have. And of course, we have NVIDIA in here, but they also do have Taiwan Semiconductor and a couple other ETFs or a couple other companies within this ETF that are outside of the United States, which is again, the reason why I do hold this. Now, GDE, this is the Wisdom Tree Effective Gold Plus Equity Share Strategy Fund. This is one that gives me exposure to gold. Now, of course, when we start looking at the percentages here, it is up 21% since I put some into this. All of these kind of bottom ones from the Van Eck down are relatively new to the portfolio. I did make a couple adjustments in 2026, but this is something that I do want to get some of the growth, and there is quite a few tech heavy companies in here, but it does also give you exposure to gold. Now, Defiance Quantum ETF, this is all about quantum computing. And of course, all of these, I have 5% in my portfolio in its entirety. Investing in quantum computing is kind of like getting into AI technology probably about 5 or 10 years ago, where you could see a really, really huge uptick, a really huge story. And some of these quantum computing companies have absolutely crushed it over the last year or two. as the technology becomes more relevant, as more of it becomes online, really does make a big difference. Again, 5% of the portfolio. Then we have the SPMO. Now, this is 15% of the portfolio. Didn't really buy it at the best time, but definitely wanted to get in there and get a hold of this one. Now, specifically with the SPMO, this is a momentum. So it chooses companies within the S&P 500 that it feels are going to have the most momentum going forward for the next 6 months. Now, this specifically is an ETF that does rebalance or adjust every 6 months, meaning you're going to see some companies that are removed. You're going to see some companies in here that are added into this ETF, really making it a big one. And then, of course, the big questionable one right here, which is the SCHD. Now, I know for a majority of people, we've sold out of the SCHD, and I actually did. I held it for about 3 years. And of course, most of the growth ETFs, or really all the growth ETFs, absolutely crush the return, crush the total return of the SCHD. Now, of course, because as you can see, we have roughly 85% of this portfolio in a quite a bit of a much higher risk kind of avenue, looking again kind of that foundation of the VOO, but then we add in the 20% with the QQQM, some of these other 25, 30, 35, 40, 50. I mean, we have 50% of this portfolio, just north of 50% of this portfolio, in some pretty high risk, high growth ETFs. Now, the logic and the reason behind this, when I look at retirement and I look at a retirement plan, holding on here, putting constant and really consistent contributions in here, this is a portfolio that I could hold for the next 10, 20, maybe even 20 plus years till I get ready to retire. So there is a very, very big runway where, again, when you think of something like quantum computing, when you start looking at semiconductors, 5, 10, 15 years, that is really the runway where I feel like a majority of these could grow and grow really, really fast. SCHD, of course, is the value play. When some of these do a pullback, if we see a tech pullback, SCHD is more in the blue chip, and SCHD in here is also the income driver. Now, you'll notice right here at my age, I have 15% in the SCHD. I had 5%, kind of played around with it for a little, kind of landed at 15%, which I felt comfortable with in the portfolio, meaning this is going to be my income driver. So when I do rebalance this, kind of set everything up with my percentages, SCHD is going to be my income driver, meaning when we do get that quarterly dividend from the SCHD as well as everything else, it is literally recycling all of it right back into the portfolio. I am not worried about the income generation right here. I am about the accumulation of assets within this point. So now I want to hop over and kind of look at the comparison of this. And these are where it gets kind of pretty interesting. So this is on SA, this is stock analysis, and we have a side-by-side really comparison of all of the ETFs that we have in here. Now, of course, I did take out the SCHD, so I did remove the SCHD from here. The logic being, when you look at all of these growth, the S&P, the QQQ, all of these growth ETFs in its entirety, I did leave the Bitcoin in there as well, which honestly, I'll probably take that one out as well. But again, when we start looking at the growth sector versus something like the SCHD and the value sector, it is not apples to apples. You're not going to see the return. You're not going to see the total return. It is not going to be, for the most part, even close to what we're seeing. But when we do get into that kind of total return, it's interesting because as you can see right down here, the SCHD is kind of on the bottom right here, which for the value play with the growth that we've seen in tech over the last month, it is underperforming. So even thinking right now, Van Eck Semiconductor Fund, it is up 10% in the last month, doing pretty well. GDE, which of course is based on that gold ETF, doing incredibly well. Quantum Computing, 5.7. Then we also do have the VOO up about 5%. So the goal of this portfolio, and this is where I really challenge you guys, is when it comes to your portfolio, what do you want to achieve? My goal in thinking about the biggest holding that I have, which is the VOO, is looking at the other essentially 4 or 5 ETFs that I have in here, is trying to beat the VOO just based on percentages. And again, we'll look at that and kind of break it down, because when we start kind of backtracking, looking at 3 months, all of a sudden you can see the GDE or that gold ETF really did perform and is much, much higher. You can see right here, again, the Van Eck Semiconductor Fund, 14.66. and they are doing incredibly well. SCHD, you can see outperforming the Quantum, the VOO, and the QQQM over the last 3 months. So again, when you start looking at something that the total return, looking at the value play and having a little bit more stability in the portfolio, that is exactly where the SCHD does fall in. Now, of course, like I had said at the very beginning of this video, this is outside of my 401k. This is outside of my IRAs. This is my individual brokerage account that I do have with M1 Finance. Got some links down below if you want to invest there as well. But then we start again, kind of panning out and looking at a bigger picture. And you can see right here, guys, the GDE, the gold has absolutely crushed it. Almost a 44% return within the last 6 months, which is crazy. VanEck Semiconductors, again, you're seeing a 35%. Quantum Computing, 28. QQQ at a 12. So even looking at this, 4 of the 5, or essentially 6 ETFs that we have within this portfolio, 4 of them have outperformed the VOO, which is the reason why, in thinking of specifically those 4 ETFs that I have, they are roughly 20% of the portfolio. When we start looking at the QQQM, it's much, much higher in there because we have 20% in there alone. So looking 20, 25, 30, 35, 35% of this portfolio right there is outperforming the VOO. Then we look back at the year to date. So thinking, well, year to date, it's very soon. Go look at the last year. So thinking of the last 12 months, and again, looking at where we're performing, SCHD at a 10.5% return. Over the last year, you can see the VOO right there towards the bottom, a 20% return. GDE, 85% return. The VanEck Semiconductor Fund, 59%. The Quantum Computing, 53. QQQM, 23. And again, the VOO at 20%. So even though the VOO, the S&P 500, is returning a 20% return, we are still looking at absolutely crushing it with the 4 ETFs that kind of outperform in the last year. Then we pan out to the 3-year. Again, looking at a very similar scenario, very similar structure. The VOO is right there towards the bottom, seeing in the last 3 years an 80% growth. You have some like the VanEck Semiconductor is up 248, gold the 232, the quantum computing 184, and again that QQQM at 125 in the last 3 years. We go back 5 years, going back even further, you can see the numbers just get that much higher. The VOO still holds that 5th position in there. 5 years, almost 100% return, but some of them like VanEck, the 242, and of course GDE, the 195. Then we have quantum computing, 176. Then we even go back 10 years, which I know some of these, and this is where again it gets kind of crazy. When you look at the VanEck Semiconductor Fund, even looking right here again over the last 10 years, it's up 1600%. Quantum computing, the 404, and again the VOO now goes from that almost underperforming bottom one. And as you can see, guys, out of all of these, and it's super interesting because you notice the SCHD actually comes in and takes that 4th position. The gold is actually under that. The QQQM is at 117 in the last 10 years because, of course, it's been a pretty short runway that we've seen the tech absolutely crushing it, but that was not always the case. You can see the VOO actually takes the 3rd slot there at a 334% growth over the last 10 years. So again, it's super interesting to see exactly kind of where these came from. And even looking at some of these though, you can see that 10 years ago, I don't believe they were here. You can see right here, some of them are not even going back 10 years. So it might not be a really fair comparison to go back to that 10-year mark because the ETFs, it looks like some of these again, the quantum computing ETF, the QQQM, looks like some of them, even looking at 10 years ago, again, didn't even exist at that point or were not really established or built because they're not even dropping in here till a little bit later. But I think probably a fair comparison would probably be about the last 3 years. When we start looking overall is the last 5 years, I believe, again, last 5 years, they were all here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. So we got 6 right there. Again, this is not showing, what is it? Quantum's in there. VanEck is in there, the QQQ, SCHD. So this is not including the gold. The GDE is not in there yet. But again, as we can see right here, the GDE doing incredibly well within the portfolio itself. So it's always interesting to see exactly how we kind of build these out. Really looking and focusing on, again, my goal of this portfolio overall is within the next 10 years is I'm going to have a portfolio that can actually beat the S&P 500 or beat that VOO. And I know for a majority of people it's very hard to do with individual stocks, but I feel like we can do it with ETFs, and that's exactly kind of what we're seeing here, is having the ability to really outperform with the ETFs in the entirety. And I'm going to continue with this portfolio. I'm going to give you updates on a regular basis. I've gotten a lot of questions. I've gotten a lot of feedback. And if you have any feedback at all, guys, definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the portfolio. Am I way over? Really way over on my risk tolerance. My financial advisor always tells me, yes, you take way too much risk. But honestly, risk and return is the place. If the market falls, if the market stumbles, if it does come down, I am dollar cost averaging every single week. We are putting $1,000 in the market every single week. Now, I know for a majority of people, they cannot invest at that level every single week, but through really the elimination of debt, when we look back here with the debt-free journey, guys, I have one payment and one payment only, which is a mortgage payment. Everything else in the entirety is paid for. Credit cards are paid off. There is no borrowing. There are no auto loans. It's literally pretty much a base of earning income, generating income, acquiring assets with that income that we earn. And of course, this is the portfolio that results over the last 4 years. So even looking at the growth, putting about $50,000 in this portfolio every single year has been pretty consistent. And I continue and want to continue it for probably about the next 10 or 20 years, getting this to a multi-million dollar portfolio, flipping some of it into the SCHD, creating enough dividends to actually replace my income through passive income, and having the ability to retire with Social Security and the SCHD, and really driving the portfolio again for the next 10 or 20 years. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Like the video if you do, and really if you like the video, if you found it valuable, definitely like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I'll catch you in the next video.